What a great turnout. It's great to see the organization continue to grow. It's great to see the success of this event continue to grow. It's, I guess, safe to call it a tradition at this point, right? Yes, and traditions are good things. So any of us who have been elected office have had the opportunity to embrace the multicultural nature of this community, what it brings, not only here, but to the rest of the world in terms of an example of how we live together in prosperity, in relative harmony, and I guess saying prosperity would be an understatement here, given that we have the highest per capita GDP of any metropolitan area in the world, and higher than all but 20 countries in the world in terms of total GDP. That said, I know that's not entirely what all of you are here about, although you'll be networking, I guess is a way to say it, networking a little bit and connecting not only across cultural lines, but in some cases across significant geographic lines, and I think it's just wonderful. So on behalf of the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors, and if you're from a distance, you want to know what that is, there's 5 of us elected to represent about 2 million people here, what we call Silicon Valley, 15 cities that range from right about where we are to the east foothills of the valley, to the Alameda County border, Milpitas, and then down to Gilroy, what we call South County, a 15-city area. And today I brought a commendation on behalf of the entire Board of Supervisors, inclusive of my colleagues, my 4 colleagues, and I wanted to present it, and I'll do that if you come on up quickly. Thank you, Holmes, for allowing me to say a few words. We're going to give you the hardbound copy of this later, but I just wanted to present this to you now. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Congratulations on your success. Thank you again for allowing me a few minutes to speak and to greet everyone on behalf of the County of Santa Clara. Thank you.
Good luck with your race.
All right, I would like to move on with our ceremonies. Who would like to actually have up Sister Jane, please?
First, I want to thank you very much and the board for the African Diaspora Network for thinking about Africa and all of you who are friends of Africa. If change has to happen, we have to work together. So the Hilton Foundation was started in 1944 by a visionary leader and a successful entrepreneur and hotelier, Conrad Hilton. Having established hotels across the globe, Hilton Foundation is a strategic grant maker with a global focus. Grants are distributed both domestically in the US and also internationally, with substantial focus on Africa. So our relationship with African Diaspora Network is quite synergistic because we are here representing Africa but also working with all of you and the African Diaspora Network. Since inception, the foundation has awarded over $1.8 billion in grants as of December 2019. And upon his death, Conrad Hilton left behind a lasting legacy by giving his assets to the foundation with these instructions: relieve the suffering, the distressed, and destitute. Shelter little children with the umbrella of your charity. Support Catholic sisters who devote their love and life's work for the good of humanity. And let there be no territorial, religious, or other current restrictions on your benefactions. all the work all of us are doing, we desire, even if we get profit, we do not want any other person to walk without food. As humanity, sometimes we have closed our eyes and we walk along the road and see homeless and we don't recognize them. Even if we close our eyes, they are there. They have a heart and they have feelings. Following the footsteps of his father, Baron Hilton directed the vast majority of his wealth to the Hilton Foundation. Baron passed on last year and his assets transferred to the foundation, drastically increasing the Hilton Foundation's assets to approximately $6.3 billion. As of now, our work of funding is directed to 7 initiatives. The first one, we support Catholic sisters globally by providing education and supporting them in human development services, the work they do, in knowledge management, and innovations related to financial sustainability. We also have a program on foster youth, which is supporting transition-age youth in foster care toward becoming self-sufficient as thriving adults. This program is implemented in New York and Los Angeles. We have another program called Disaster Relief and Recovery. We support disaster preparedness, relief, and long-term recovery. We also have a program on ending chronic homelessness, particularly in Los Angeles. We have a program on hospitality workforce development, where we cultivate career pathways to transform the lives and opportunity for youth, particularly in New Orleans. We have a program which is implemented in 5 countries in Africa, which is Safe Water Initiative, where we are accelerating reliable access to safe and affordable water services in Africa. And another program which focuses on young children affected by HIV and AIDS, where we are improving early childhood development outcomes for young children in Africa. In addition to these 7 initiatives, the Conrad N. Hilton Humanitarian Prize is the world's largest annual humanitarian award of $2 million, presented to non-profit organizations judged to have extraordinary contributions in alleviating human suffering. All our work focused on alleviating human suffering. This humanitarian prize was established in 1996 in honor of Conrad Hilton as a tribute for a lifetime personal philanthropy. What many people don't know is that as a successful entrepreneur, and before he sealed any business deal, Mr. Hilton brought his intentions to God in prayer. A committed Catholic, Hilton attended Mass early in the morning to pray for his intention. No wonder he was so successful as a business person. He also had a special love and admiration of Catholic sisters for their commitment to delivering services to most vulnerable and disadvantaged people. He included sisters and naming them by name in his will and testament. The Hilton Foundation continues to honor and commit resources to supporting Catholic sisters globally. Another thing you may not know that there are over 700,000 Catholic sisters who are ministering in the world, living as long-standing members of the most impoverished communities on the planet. In Africa, for example, there are over 100,000 Catholic sisters running over 7,000 hospitals and dispensaries, over 300 leprosy centers, over 2,000 homes for elderly, infirm, and people with disabilities, over 1,000 special centers for social services, and thousands of educational institutions and agricultural programs. Silently, these women are contributing to making a difference one life at a time. But you may be asking, why am I here? So our vision at the Hilton Foundation is to make Catholic sisters recognized as global leaders in sustainable human development when they are grounded in the vitality of their spiritual witness. in an ever-changing global landscape, adapting new ways of doing business while continuing to serve the most vulnerable in communities in Africa, including ending human trafficking, rescuing women and girls confronting cultural practices such as FGM, early marriages, and engagement in providing economic empowerment programs, call for investing in new ways for vitality and sustainability of these programs. Today, we are here because we believe in the work and the role of the African Diaspora Network as a conduit that stimulates, empowers, and activates the diaspora, friends of Africa, and young entrepreneurs to catalyze and contribute in building and transforming Africa's development. The reason we have encouraged sisters to be part of this movement and conversation. African Diaspora Network is a platform that strengthens and connects dynamic contributors into Africa's development to accelerate social and economic transformation. Sisters should be part of this movement because they often work with the most marginalized and underserved populations. I hope as entrepreneurs, you will find value working with faith-based organizations that are working to contribute to Africa's transformation and breaking the cycle of poverty of the bottom half. Hilton Foundation has partnered with Mira Center of Social Entrepreneurship at Santa Clara University and also with the African Diaspora Network to engage sisters to learn and adapt meaningful business strategies and models for sustainability of their work. In the next few days, I urge you, take time to speak with a sister to learn of their work and how you can partner with them to advance their vision and mission that will result in transforming lives of the most vulnerable, thus contributing to Africa's development. Congratulations, Amas, for creating this global network. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm just gonna stay where I am and tell you a little bit. This is very close to my heart. If I have to cry, I will cry on this. So I am a Jesuit product. I went to Jesuit University. I worked for Santa Clara University. So for me, faith is part of who I am. It has nothing to do with which religion you're in. It is just with the faith that you have. And Sister Jane, you've transformed also my own self of faith in humanity. And I want to thank you. But the other thing is also, for those who know me, when I was running the Step Up Silicon Valley to help low-income gain economic self-sufficiency, I always believed that change doesn't come from the top and from anybody who has the money or whatever connection. I think change comes when we all work. And this includes the faith community. Regardless of what religion, what country you're in, what ethnicity you are, the religious community play a huge role, whether in the United States or the continent where I come from. They play a big role. So I do encourage you to really get to know who they are. Besides really making you learn, they can actually really create enterprises. If you're aware of the sisters in this country in the United States, look what kind of ownership they have. So I'm very proud and very grateful for the support we received from the Conrad Hilton Foundation, but really for the relationship we formed. So thank you, Sister Jane. Well, Bishop just came to say to me, Alma, I really don't know Luam, so you take it on. Well, I can tell you, I know Luam. Luam is a young Eritrean woman who has really surpassed the expectation of her family, her community, and herself to really do what she wants to do. Not by being rebellious, but really by absolutely focusing on her vision. Vision as one person who can really go and achieve what they want to achieve, provided the love and the comfort that she had in her family. I happen to know a little bit about Luam because she actually played piano at our wedding. She is my husband's favorite niece, so what can I do? Now there's a nepotism, but this one is for real. She is one of the best, sorry, it has nothing to do with my husband, but I think she is just phenomenal. I wasn't asking her to do anything that he showed me a video of her TEDx talk, and I absolutely just stood still and cried my heart out. Not because I only know her, but also the fact that she was able to do this. So please join me in welcoming Luam to the stage.
Thank you, Almaz, for creating this forum for all of us, honestly, to come and share our lives and our stories. It's funny, when Almaz asked me to speak, I was like, really, you want me to speak? Okay. What am I going to talk about? You know, I'm in a room with so many distinguished and accomplished and inspiring people. I'm like, how is what I'm saying going to relate to you? And she said, Luam, paraphrasing, Luam, you're a disruptor. Like, what does that mean? She said, you're a disruptor for as long as I've known you, so just disrupt. I said, okay, I'll do my best. So, you know, it's funny, I stand here and I actually built a career and a business telling stories through dance. I've choreographed my heroes, I've taught dance in every corner of the world, I've put up tours with the likes of like Alicia Keys, Kelly Rowland, Britney Spears. I've lived a life I never thought was possible and accomplished things that surprised even me. But beyond that, the power I've discovered in this world of dance is unlike anything I've ever seen. I mean, it's the only thing that I've witnessed that can connect humans so intimately with nothing else in common. And even like the visceral reaction while people are dancing, or even just watching it, it links everyone on this earth in a real-time, physical, and deeply intimate way. So yes, I'm a teacher, I'm a director, and I'm a choreographer. But the way I got here, it wasn't what you think. See, since I was very young, I wanted to be a doctor. I followed every expectation of my family, I got good grades, I did what I was supposed to do. My mom was a nurse, she had an incredible work ethic, and I grew up knowing that I wanted to heal people, I wanted to save lives, and I wanted to do good work. My work would be my medicine, and then dance, that would be my daydream. So after college, something really interesting happened. Even though I love medicine, I didn't feel motivated to go to med school. Something held me back and literally would not let me move forward. I just could not move, and I rationalized it in so many ways. But really at the heart of it, I physically could not commit to the life I thought that I was supposed to live. Because when your calling is so insistent upon you that it sabotages your own plans, you have no choice but to follow along, right? So I did. I took a break. I got a job in IT, technology associate. Somehow, I found myself having an aha moment at my very first gig. See, I had booked the MTV Video Music Awards. I was lucky to be one of 2 dancers on top of a giant tour bus with Ludacris as it rolled in front of Radio City Music Hall, blasting Move B, Get Out the Way. I was in full gear. I had the hot pants, I had the cut-up shirt, I had my big curly fro. I was living my very best life. And the thing was, my technology offices, my offices where I worked, were directly across the street. Right there, I could see into the window. In fact, as I danced my heart out on top of that bus, I looked down and I could see the heads of my department staring very curiously back at me. So yes, I had this aha moment on top of the bus. But I just felt the pure joy of expressing my art and knowing that, wait, this is a job, you're gonna pay me for this? It was my first epiphany. That I literally could do something that I loved. I could be a dancer and choreographer. That in fact already was those things. This was just a manifestation. And that this had been living inside me all along, and I pushed it so far back, it had no choice but to come out as daydreams throughout my life. So what do I mean by daydreams? I'm not talking about like lottery tickets, luxury cars, and vacations. I'm talking about visions of you doing something that you're so very passionate about to the bone. A vision of your truest and freest self. That's what I mean by daydreams. They're not like real dreams either. You don't just shake them off and move on when you're done. They They live inside you, they sit in your marrow, and they chase you from the inside out. They persist to give you hints at what your place in this world truly is and what will actually make you happy, not what people tell you happiness is. So, I spent a lot of time making sure I fit the mold of what people told me I should be. My teachers, my peers, my community, my family. I was born in Eritrea, East Africa, Eritrea. And my mom and I fled to the US to escape war. Now, running from conflict instills a sense of fear in you, and you seek stability, right, to balance that fear. Doctor, lawyer, nurse, engineer, stability. But even if you're not running from those things and you just want a better life for your children, you want them to have more than what you had, there's this really tremendous will to succeed and to make sure they do as well. And I inherited my mom's work ethic. She was fierce. She was a single mom, full-time nurse, going to school, cooking incredible hapcha masterpieces, home every night to make sure I was loved. This is how I grew up. So I understood why they didn't approve. I mean, their practicality came from a sense of instability. It was first and foremost, at the end of the day, I actually completely sided with them. I mean, we had the same values. They made me. I wanted to give them what they asked for. In fact, nothing would disappoint me more than their disappointment, right? Except for one thing, and that was to not live up to my own potential. It was my greatest fear, it still is, and there's like nothing more frightening to me to know what I'm truly capable of and to do nothing about it. So, fear was on both sides of the fence. When I see my dancers or students fighting in a sweaty room, I can actually see what they're going through just by how they dance. I see all the people that told me they couldn't make it. I see the fight they had that morning with someone they loved. I see their insecurities, their doubts, their battle for identity, somebody that left. I see all of it and how they move. It's so prevalent. Because dance determines not just their career, not just their livelihood, their ability to eat, to survive, but it also feels like it determines your self-worth, your relationships. It's the one thing that seems to define everything. So for them, it's a fight for their life. It's 99% internal. Has to be good. You have to be great. But you have the biggest doubts and fears in the world, and you're expecting me to move freely? And I'm trying to help them navigate that while figuring out my own path at the same time. See, practicality was hiding my calling from me. It doesn't seem logical to jump into a life that didn't offer stability or even guarantee success. Because make no mistake, you don't know that it's going to work out when you jump. You just don't. So even though practicality was the very thing that was supposed to challenge and oppose my path, I decided early that I would flip it. And that included that I would find a way to be practical to get where I truly wanted to go. And that was using everything that I knew or learned while gaining new skills along the way for this very specific thing. I stayed up late creating my own websites. I built websites for the people, like logos, flyers. I found this little website called YouTube. Hey, put my videos up on there, became the first viral choreographer in the history of the internet. I was traveling, teaching, sharing, started streetwear lines, sold hoodies and t-shirts. I did everything. And all of these things, they were aha moments along the way. Me figuring out what I needed to do to be. The takeaway is that I did what I was uniquely designed to do to make this dream work. I was using all of the practical and experiential things that I had learned inside the dream of my life. And it paid off. When I wanted to be a doctor, it was to help people, to do important work, to save lives. Through dance, through my work teaching all over the world, choreographing for powerful icons with big ideas that shaped just how we live, mentoring young artists, healing, I was doing exactly that. Dance was my medicine. The way I thought I'd get there by being a doctor, that was just my fear of instability. That was all in my head. But I was still an anomaly to the world outside of dance. When I would run into college friends, now doctors, lawyers, professionals, I'm to you, Penn, hey, they would ask me, Are you still doing that dancing thing? I heard it all. I mean, I've had interventions with concerned family, a lot of sit-downs to get me to see straight. And what I was hearing wasn't opposition, it wasn't hostility, it was fear, it was concern, and it was love. But this type of love didn't help me. How could I make them see what I saw? So one day, I was sitting in Starbucks when I got a call from a known artistic director to work with Michelle Obama on her new Move Your Body campaign. Now this is a collaborative effort between many different choreographers, and I would never see Michelle, but the process was priceless. See, it gave me a small portion of the most prized of all currencies in choreography, access. Access here meant I would also get a shot at my dream artist on her next big breakout music video. Everyone was vying for a spot. I was scared, I was intimidated, honestly. But I got to work, and I focused my creation time thinking about not what made me great, but what made me different. And there was nothing more self-defining to me than my culture as an Eritrean woman. And once you know what, this video was set to be a major female anthem. Perfect. So that's what I researched. The iconic women of East Africa and the strength of the women in my culture is a legendary thing to me. And when they dance, I mean, they got down. They would jump so high in the air, beating their drums, all ages. The swing of their hair and their neck was so modest, yet so strong and so feminine. But most of all, I researched the shoulders, right? That was our thing, yeah, the shoulders. The accents, the hits, the shimmy, and the breakneck precision of it all. I grew up watching the women of my family do this very thing. It was everything the artist asked for. Feminine, powerful, and universal. She loved it. She made it a solo video with 100 dancers. I was ecstatic. You had to pull me off the ceiling, really. It was just the intro, though. It was just the very beginning. But it was mine. It was my mother's. It belonged to every woman of the legacy that I was born to. Eventually, it won a VMA for Best Choreography. That's a Video Music Award for Best Choreography. And as a lesser contributing choreographer, I did not get a Moon Man statue. But what I did get was a phone call from my mother when she saw the Run the World video. She said, wow, look at Beyonce. She's doing her dance and she's doing it so well. I had taken something taboo in my culture and I used it to represent us. And my mom loved it. That was everything to me. That was my move. Everything begins in a daydream, right? The most mighty of all things, to many the very definition of what you're not supposed to do to be successful. But what they're missing is that the vision isn't singular. It encompasses not just your thing, but everything that comes with it. And practicality is the unseen backbone of your daydream. Once you jump, you have to figure it all out. It requires many extremely different sides of you, but that's a true leap. To be everything you need to be inside the dream of your life. Do you know, I have to ask, do you know what your friends, your parents, your children, do you know what they daydream about? Have you ever asked them? Because this is who they are, you know? And it can become something tangible and real. See, the stigma of daydreams comes from the idea that time wasted on dreaming is not spent doing, right? But it's not a frivolous thing. It limps into your true self. And this self needs you to use every bit of your big brain to make it come true. Recognize your daydream for what it really is. Don't just try it. Be practical and absolutely relentless in your pursuit. And most of all, set yourself apart. I tell my dancers, dance for the stages you want to be on, not for the rooms you're in. Visualize what your future looks like and find yourself there. The thing is, you're not guaranteed support or recognition. And that's not even why we do this. There has to be a bigger reason, a driving force. Stability is a mirage here. Sometimes practicality can feel like stability, but I'm here to tell you stability is an illusion. And as you push higher towards your full potential, the air gets thinner and thinner. And that's because the dream is a dream, but your process is a part of the dream that lives outside of the real world And it's tangible, physical. You can move it forward with every action you take. There are a million and one reasons why I should have played it safe. Taken a proven route, been a doctor, the whole shebang. But the daydreams, honestly, the calling inside just became too powerful, too insistent. And most of all, it never shut down. So for me, it gave me my happiness, helped me find my ludicrous moment, and more importantly, it gave me my Beyonce shake. Thank you guys. Thank you, Almas, for allowing us to talk about our stories and to share in speaking form. And I hope I disrupted enough today. Okay.
That was great. It reminds me of a quick story. So I come from one of those families too, where I thought I was going to be an artist because I could draw, my dad could draw, my grandfather could draw. I showed them the drawing and this is what they're going to do. And what they said to me is, you can't make money at that good. You will be an engineer or a doctor or something else. And it was fear and it was love. But that's what our family is doing. So thank you for that. So next up, we're going to provide the ARCA Award to Helen Kim. Come on up.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Almaz and family, for including us, eBay, in this very special occasion. We're very proud to be here tonight. And I have the honor and privilege to introduce a very special lady who we will call up in a second. Just a few words on her. Helen Kim is a strong and passionate leader who, on top of her high-profile professional career, has always made it a priority to enable innovators globally to create economic prosperity for all and use technology to solve our planet's most pressing problems. She was a VP of Business Operations for Product and Technology at eBay, and as a direct report to the Chief Product Officer, she drove product and technical excellence across a 3,500-plus person organization, led product strategy and planning, program management, tech innovation programs, and product operations. In addition, Helen served as a diversity and inclusion champion for the Product and Technology organization. Prior to eBay, Helen was a VP of Business Operations for Technology at Yahoo, and she also worked at McAfee and VeriSign. Earlier in her career, Helen was a management consultant at Deloitte & Touche, specializing in security and privacy. Helen holds a BS degree in Business Administration and an MBA from the University of California, Riverside. Helen's passion for enabling and empowering people from all backgrounds to realize their full potential is one of her signature characteristics. She believes in making a difference, giving a voice to those who may not be in a position to be heard, and supporting initiatives that use technology for global good. She is an inspirational leader who has significant impact wherever she goes. Through her many initiatives and ideas, she brings people together to ensure the best and most impactful outcomes. Almaz, please join me to present Helen with the Burka Award.
So I am also going to say something about Helen. So earlier you've heard me say that Supervisor Cortese last year, he came, saw what we did, and really opened the door for us financially. The next person, in fact, the largest funding we've ever received from corporation came because of this woman. She came to speak last year, and she saw what we did, and I think afterwards we had lunch, we've met, and she said to me, how do you do this? And of course, you know, I told her how we do it. I mean, we just do this and with our shoestring budget and all that. And I think she took that to the heart as a woman leader. And she said, we're going to do something about this. And so soon after that, I get an email. we're gonna have you apply for a grant. We applied for the grant for $30,000. She actually turned it to $45,000. This woman is not just only giving us the funding. If you are a builder of Africa's future, yesterday you were at eBay and the whole day, the whole support, it only came because there was one person who wanted to make a difference, and that person is Helen Kim. I am forever grateful, like to everyone else who really believes in what we're doing, but I think Helen actually goes above and beyond what is asked of her. And what you have done to really get this year's Builders of Africa's Future was Noshin taking the charge and really making it happen. Eileen and all of your team, it's just amazing. So I just want to say, Helen, come on over here and we're going to give you the Barca Award. And the Barca Award is our way of saying thank you. And I think Barca, in that language, I think it's really a profound thankfulness. So I'm very profoundly thankful to Helen and her team for this wonderful opportunity. Helen, thank you, thank you. We love you. Thank you. You can say that.
Thank you so much for the kind words, Nushin and Almaz. I was back there blushing, and I whispered to whom I hope I don't cry. I think being in this room is just very inspiring, just to look around and see the global nature of how we've come together. And I've just met Almaz for the last year. In fact, I met her at the last ADIS summit. And so it's really exciting to be here for the 5th ADIS event and to be here in front of all of you accepting this award. I'm extremely humbled, very touched. The meaning of Barca, I cried when I saw this email, in fact, and I thought, I'm so undeserving of this. And it's really Almaz's inspiration that led me to want to do this, right? To work with the team and figure out what can we do to really empower entrepreneurs in the continent of Africa, because I think in the future, if we think about innovation, it doesn't just stop on one continent, and it's the knowledge sharing that happens across geographic boundaries. And I'm so thrilled that we have this opportunity for all of the entrepreneurs to be joining us here in Silicon Valley so that we can do the knowledge sharing, but that we can also learn from you, because there's so much innovation that's happening on your continent. And as we explored all of the submissions, and it was such a great privilege to learn from TWOM, ADN's board chair, and thank you for allowing us to participate in that process of not only nominating and selecting, but really doing the due diligence and looking at these companies. Many of them, we wanted to invite everybody, in fact, right? And we were asked to select 10, which was extremely difficult, but actually we selected 11. So in the future, I hope that we can grow this organization so that we can actually choose as many as we think that are promising to be able to deliver for society and for all of the things that we do. I mean, we looked at a cross-section of different industries so that we were looking at also women founders as well as men founders, but we wanted to make sure that we were being inclusive of the variety of innovation that was happening. And so thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, Almaz, for your vision and your tenacity to really make this successful. And congratulations on your success. Thank you, TWOM, for your leadership and providing us with guidance and walking us through this process of being able to select this year's award recipients. So thank you, everybody. Thank you.
She's so deserving. Thank you. Thank you so much. Centers.
All right, so next we have the Miller Center, yes, no, fireside chat, just making sure it was still correct. Welcome up. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. As we get started, Sister Annalise, Sister Junsa, I'd like everyone to just take a moment of silence and reflect inwardly, pay some attention to how you got to this place at this point in time. And I think all of us will realize that though it took a total team effort for African Diaspora Network to be a reality, it was Almaz's vision. And I remember a number of years ago when she sat in my office at Miller Center for Social Entrepreneurship, and she said, I'm doing all of these amazing things, Step Up Silicon Valley, African Diaspora Network, you name it. And I said, what brings you the most joy? And Almaz said, it's the African Diaspora Network. And I said, then do that. And here we are today. So we are having a fireside chat, but fires are not really that great if you live in California. I live in Sonoma County, so I'm grateful there is not one here for us. We're going to introduce ourselves first, and then we're going to tell the story of how we got here and where we're going together with this incredible community that Almaz has really led. I'm Thane Kreiner. I'm Executive Director of Miller Center for Social Entrepreneurship at Santa Clara University, which is a Jesuit university. And the Jesuits are great, but I got to tell you up front, the sisters totally rock. So what we do at Miller Center is accelerate social entrepreneurs that are serving the poor and protecting the planet. We've been doing it since 2003 based on the observation that a lot of innovations meant to address at the time the Millennium Development Goals were not getting to significant scale relative to the size of the problems afflicting the global poor. So we asked whether Silicon Valley executives, like many of you, could accompany entrepreneurs through a structured curriculum to help them discern pathways to scaling their impact. Since then, we have walked with more than 1,000 social entrepreneurs in 100 countries around the world. They collectively have raised $500 million after our accelerator programs. That's $500 million. And they have improved, transformed, or saved the lives of 400 million people living in poverty. So when we talk about climate change, we all know it impacts the poor more than anybody else. And our call is to serve the poor and protect the planet. Sister Annalise?
Good evening. I'm Sister Enelis Chimbali. I come from Malawi, but currently I've been working with the Association of Consecrated Women in Eastern and Central Africa, AQUECA, that comprises of 10 countries: Eritrea, Ethiopia, Sudan, South Sudan, Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, Malawi, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. And we serve more than 30,000 sisters from 300 congregations, which will provide capacity building in areas need, one of them being social entrepreneurship that we're working with Miller Center of Santa Clara University.
Thank you. Sister Junsa?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sister Junza Mwangani from Zambia, from the Diocese of Monze. It's based in the southern province of Zambia, and my congregation is called Religious Sisters of the Holy Spirit. We serve in that country and the diocese I just mentioned. Our charism is to work with the young people, the women and children in rural areas, and we discern their needs with the help of the Holy Spirit, and we have to share and witness to the power of the Holy Spirit wherever we are. So in short, that's what I am.
Thank you, Sister Junsa. So I want to tell the story of how I ended up on the stage in this very special place with two incredible sisters leading amazing congregations that are changing the world. It happened in 2018 in July. I was at the Vatican Impact Investing Conference. How many of you knew that the Vatican had an Impact Investing Conference? I know Sister Jane did because she was also there. And I was invited there because of a program Miller Center launched to accompany social enterprises serving or led by refugees, migrants, or human trafficking survivors. And if you're wondering, yes, that was a political statement. But I got invited to talk about how we were working with those very special entrepreneurs that were serving the most marginalized among our common human family. And while I was there was a panel that Sister Annalise was on. And she was talking about the problems of poverty and conflict and violence that lead to especially violence against women, children not being able to go to school. And during the question and answer session, somebody said, well, what happens if the violence gets worse? And Sister Annalise said, the sisters will always be there. Now, somebody in the audience wasn't paying attention. It might be you right now. And someone else a few minutes later said essentially the same thing. Well, sister, if the violence gets really bad, what are the sisters going to do? And Sister Annalise leaned forward and she said, let me repeat myself. The sisters will always be there. So I said, I have to meet this woman. And when she got off the stage, I ran up to her and I said, Sister Annalise, I'm Thane Kreiner from Miller Center, and now Sister Annalise gets to tell her story.
Yeah, if you can go to Africa, there are so many NGOs that are concentrated in urban areas, and we find sisters in the remotest areas sometimes where there are no proper roads, but sisters, they go in those areas because there are people there who want services. When I was talking to Mina Center, what accompanied me most is the concept of Mina Center, and also the accompaniment that they provide as they work with their social enterprise. And also for me, I was like, when we work with the sisters, and the sisters, they learn social entrepreneurship and think they can be so good social entrepreneurs. And also the sisters, wherever they are trusted people, that the people they see, these are the people that they can work with, these are the people that can be trusted. NGOs come and go, but the sisters, they always remain. And the sisters, they remain without resources, they remain with the people. I can give an example like countries in Eritrea, Ethiopia, Sudan, and South Sudan, where the sisters are leaving the people, even some reach that point of moving together with the refugees to wherever they are so that they can be able to provide services. And for me, I believe to say if the sisters can learn social entrepreneurship and they'll be able to serve the community better so that the people they can be economically empowered, and also the sisters can be economically empowered. Therefore, by the end of the day, it will be a win-win situation and the people will benefit more with the presence of the sisters. And with the concept of Mina Center, for me, in Akweka, we are very happy to work with Mina Center. And Mina Center, they're working to work with us, and they're ready to move to wherever the sisters are. As I'm talking, there are some people from Mina Center who are with us, with the sisters in Africa, working to provide knowledge and accompaniment that they want. And also the other thing is, there's too much knowledge that has been passing on around the sisters. But the sisters, they lack the hands-on accompaniment and the hands-on activities. So Miller Center is ready to provide that. So we as a Quaker, by working with Miller Center, we found is a true partner who can be with us and be able to walk in our shoes and to see the progress that can happen in the continent wherever the sisters are.
Thank you, Sister Annalise. So together we came up with this idea, we're calling it the Sisters Blended Value Project. And the idea is that the social ministries of the sisters can become more financially sustainable as they adopt entrepreneurial principles that deliver goods and services to the communities they serve while remaining true to the charism of their congregations. And so we launched this project with a small gift from the General Council of Santa Clara University, and we held a workshop in Nairobi last March. Sister Junza, can you tell us how you heard about the workshop and what excited you about participating in entrepreneurial training with some crazy white guy like me?
All right. This workshop was announced to the congregational leaders. They talked about the Sisters Blended Value Project after these people had come up with the idea and had shared the concept. So my superior general was one of those that were at that meeting where the concept was shared. And she came back home and just said, there's this project that Akweka is going to be running, and it's about sisters learning business strategies and using them in our ministries to improve them and make them social enterprises that will sustain both the sisters and the communities that we are serving. I was excited about it. And when she mentioned, I said, I want to be part of those people that are doing that. Then when I came to the workshop in March and we were told, what really excited you about this? For me, it was the idea of the sisters not just giving a service, but at least bringing in business concepts that was going to break like the problem that I've had as a person, thinking, if I go business, will I still be religious? But then I knew in myself that there were better concepts that were going to improve the ministries that the sisters are doing if we did this, if we went the social entrepreneurial way. So that's what I got to know about it, and I joined and it helped. I'm going to share more on what I learned.
Thank you, Sister Junza. So based on the response of the sisters who participated in that 3-day workshop with Miller Center staff and some of our mentors, we imagined how this project could really expand. And one of the things that we found and that really surprised us is that some of the social enterprises that had been through our accelerator programs saw the sisters, as Sister Jane recently explained, as a trusted community member. And as many of you know, in the developing world, and particularly in Africa, the way that people make decisions is based on references from people they trust. And who do you trust more than the sisters? So we had social enterprises knocking on our doors saying, we want to partner with the sisters to expand into these communities with things like sustainable agriculture training, solar-powered water pumps, safe drinking water, all the things that communities need to be healthy and happy schools. So we put together this program, and we're very, very grateful that Hilton Foundation, Sister Jane and Angelique, decided to give us a grant to support this project for the next 18 months. And what we're doing is working with the sisters, accompanying them. As Sister Annalise said, one of our colleagues, Brother Keith, is currently in Uganda doing a workshop with the sisters, and they're preparing business plans for their social enterprises within their congregations. So transforming things that formerly relied completely on charity into earned income models that support the enterprise and can have greater impact. So can you tell us, Sister Junza, a little bit about, she's an overachiever, the 2 business plans that you're writing?
Yes, having been trained by the Miller Center, we are now, as Sisters of the Holy Spirit, in the process of building up, setting up a school. Now everyone will wonder, why is Sister talking about education as if it's just beginning now? Yes, it's the same education that we've been doing in the past, but this time we want to do it differently. We've been educating people, but mostly preparing them for a white-collar job, such that after secondary education, we are not sure whether they'll go to college, they'll proceed or not. But then we've had these people that have received high-quality education, but if they are not able to progress to tertiary education, they are roaming the streets. Is that what we want to continue? No. So with the social enterprise skills that we have learned, we are going to set up a school that gives hands-on training to the young people. And we are setting up a school that has a production unit, and we are calling it the Emerging Farmers Initiative. Now, this is how it's going to work. This school is going to run a production unit that has a piggery, a poultry, a garden, a fish farm, and a maize field. We want each pupil to be involved in this so that they learn either to be a poultry farmer or a piggery farmer or a fish farmer, whatever they can do. Now, this production unit is going to be ecologically sensitive in the sense that we are not going to use any artificial fertilizers. It's going to work and interrelate in such a way that each unit is going to be pumping into the other. For example, we're going to grow maize, and after that, we're going to process it to make feeds for the pigs, for the chickens, and for the fish. The water that we are going to drain from the fish pond will run into the garden, and it's going to water and fertilize the garden at the same time. So the waste from the pigs and from the chickens will go into the maize field and the garden, so we are not going to buy any fertilizers. And then we are going to buy even the incubators so that we hatch the eggs ourselves and look after the chicks until they grow to something that you can sell. Now, what are we doing to this pupil? All this will be done by the learners themselves. So a learner will decide whether they are going to just run a hatchery where they are going to be hatching their own chicks and selling to other farmers, or they are going to produce feeds. They know that when I grow the feeds, when I grow the maize, I can process into something that I'm going to sell to other farmers. We realize that our school is going to have two types of pupils, those that come from well-off families and those that cannot afford, because it's set up in the rural area where we've been invited to serve. So the business model is that the school is going to rely on school fees as well as the money that we are getting from this social enterprise, the farmers, the production unit. Now, the money that we are going to raise, the proceeds from this production unit, is going to pump into the bursary account so that the pupils that cannot allow their school fees are going to get the money to get a bursary to pay their school fees from whatever proceeds we are going to get from this. What are we doing to this child? They are going to know that there isn't a donor somewhere who's going to bring the money for me. We are going to make the money ourselves, and we are going to get ourselves through school using the money that we have made. We have done this. We grew the products, we processed, we sold, we have the money, we've paid the school fees, and we've gone through school. We are changing the mentality because this is going to break the cycle of poverty in Africa. Now, this child who has been with the entrepreneurship within the school can replicate that in their own community. We are going to see a tree growing. We are going to see a vegetable garden. We are going to see that even if they don't go through tertiary school and they don't find a white-collar job, they'll still do any of the three things that they'll have learned in our school. So that's what it's going to do, and we're inviting everyone.
That's amazing, Sister Junza. That is incredible. And I note the resonance for those of you who heard the Minister of Technology from Kenya earlier, talking about how we get young people to stay in their communities and farm. And when we have these circular models of production and consumption, SDG 12, they can work. And here we are being led by the sisters. So Sister Annalise, can you tell us a little bit about your vision for how this model of the blended Sisters Blended Value Project will expand? You mentioned earlier there's 30,000 sisters in the congregations supported by Akweka.
You have to imagine if we have every sister, like Sister Junza, in every community and developing that kind of concept and what kind of transformation we can make in Africa. And we are talking that in Akweka region, we have more than 300 congregations, and our focus is to ensure that these particular congregations, they have the resources to sustain their charism. Each congregation has been founded, it has a specific goal for them to achieve. And that goal is not only for themselves, but also for the people that they serve. And you have to imagine also to say like, if they're able to do this, they'll be able to empower thousands and millions of people wherever these sisters are. And also in this particular project, what we're trying to do also is to ensure that the visibility of the sisters is seen wherever they are. As I mentioned to say, most of the sisters are in the remotest places, where most of the NGOs are not. And also the sisters, they serve the poorest in the communities. And also to ensure that the sisters have got resources to sustain their ministries wherever they are. As Sister Junza has mentioned, to say they'll be able to make money for their own school, and they'll be able to provide bursaries to the students. And this is what we are looking for almost every congregation which are in our region, to be able to do that. And at the end of the day, to be able so to sustain the religious life itself, so that by the end of the day, the sisters are available and they'll be ready to save the people that we have been entrusted for.
Thank you so much. So we talk a lot in Silicon Valley about the power of technology, but I think you've just witnessed the power of people to effect transformative change. What Pope Francis talks about as authentic human development, where people are agents and architects of their own futures. We have a unique opportunity to partner with the sisters and make the global sustainable development goals a reality. Thank you so much, Sister Annalise, Sister Junza, and all of you for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I don't feel like I do enough. So next in our program, we want to welcome Deji to the stage. We're going to talk a bit about Spotlight on Innovation in Africa. So we're going to have some folks come up. We have about 2 to 5 minutes. So.
Nice to meet you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Deji Akomolafe, and yes, I'm from Nigeria. I would like to thank Amos for everything you've done, everything you continue to do. I'm very grateful for you for bringing everybody together for the purpose of helping advance Africa and Africans. By show of hand, who in this room believes that the unemployment rate in Africa is primarily due to lack of job opportunities? By show of hand. There are jobs in Africa. The jobs in Africa is not being done by Africans. Simple. Everybody has been talking about the fourth industrial revolution. We ask ourselves what happened to the first, second, third industrial revolution. Was Africa in the room during those three phases? Will Africa be in the room in the fourth industrial revolution? Some have contended that Africa was not in the room for the first three. That's not right. Africa and Africans were in the room in all those revolutions. We were just on the table, on the menu. The fourth industrial revolution cannot be realized without the inclusion of Africa. The question then is, will we be in the room, at the table, on a seat, or are we going to be, again, part of the menu? VMware is a $10 billion company. We pioneered virtualization on x86 platform over 20 years ago. We make money. We have 500,000 customers, over 30,000 partners. We do most of our deals and projects through partners. We sell in Africa. Because the fourth industrial revolution cannot be realized without Africa, this is why the Bill Gates, the Mark Zuckerbergs, and everybody who's anybody in the IT industry go to Africa. They don't go to Kenya for the coffee, nice coffee. They do not go to Nigeria to count the bridges. They don't go to Ethiopia just for the food. They go looking for talent. Why? Because the reality of the fourth industrial revolution requires a fertile ground. You have heard consistently that Africa is projected to be, if not the largest continent in the next few years. It is going to be the continent with the most promises. Why? The youth population in Africa is so substantial, and whom does the eBay, the Facebook, the Google, and all these innovators in the industry, whom do they want to sell to? Not to my grandma, she's dead. They sell to the youth. They sell potential. They sell to the future. Where is the future? Africa. This is why we keep coming. This is why I go to Africa. This is why VMware has a program, a corporate social responsibility program. We do only one thing. We provide access and opportunities for Africans to get included in the fourth industrial revolution locomotive or express train or jet, whatever shape it's going to take. We believe that technology powers the businesses and the jobs of today, and it will do so for the next 20, 25, 50, for the future. If you're talking jobs and you're not upskilling in technology, you're wasting your time. And what is driving the technology? Virtualization and cloud computing. VMware is giving away its courses and certifications to Africans, and we're asking you, I am asking you to please, if you have the ability to teach Africans to develop capacity, human capacity in Africa, I want to work with you. VMware wants to work with you. We want to give you the industry standard certification program from beginning, not knowing anything about virtualization or cloud, all the way to be a certified professional who can take on the job of today and help move Africa into the room, at the seat, dictating the parameters of what the fourth industrial revolution is going to be. We do this for free. You run government-sponsored programs, you get grants from anywhere. I've seen the sisters. You can help bring this expertise to Africa. Thank you, Amaz. Thank you for listening to me. I'll be here all day and tomorrow.
Thank you, sir, so much. Okay, next we have Peter Kagode, who is from, hi, how are you? Come on up. Who is the CEO of Nishati Coffee. Come on up. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, my name is Peter Kigodi, CEO of Nishati Coffee. We are based in Kenya. And we are here to launch a new climate justice coffee. And I know that this is a decade of climate justice because climate is a crisis, is a real issue everywhere. I know there are a lot of people in denial about it, but you just need to look around and see what is happening. In Africa, we have seen climate change really happen. We've seen in Mozambique floods that have really devastated the countries. We have seen floods in East Africa. We have seen, even now, as late as a few weeks, we have seen locusts attacking countries in East Africa and destroying and decimating huge amounts of crops. So we know that it's real. And I know in California, you also have seen fires. I mean, they are not very new to you. So I think it is a decade for climate change. Nishati Coffee, we are here to look for partners so that we can work with you in that journey to educate and let everybody take action on climate. We plan to train 20,000 baristas globally who can become climate justice advocates. And their way, using coffee, we can be able to make a change. We have partnered with Ocean Soul Africa, who are conservationist partners for us. They collect garbage which has been washed away, flip-flops, in the ocean. They convert it into art, and you can see some of the art out there. And we've partnered together. Some of our profits from our company, we share with them in cleaning the environment and creating such amazing art. We want to do a tour of the entire US this year, educating and bringing our products to the market, and we want to invite you to be part of that journey. So we are here. Please visit with us, come and talk to us, see how we can partner and contribute, because this is the only planet we have. I don't know whether a few of you are from out of the space, but if you are from this planet, chances are that you need to work with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Next, we want to welcome Magate Wade to the stage. All right. I could have just turned around and brought you up with me. See, didn't turn around. You're welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. I'll try to go fast because I know I'm the last one here. Oh, one more. Okay, so I'll try to. Anyway, first off, I wanted to really thank Almaz and the ADN network. The work you've done is it's out of this world. So thank you. That's all I can say, very humbly. And then to all of you guys who are here, and to my favorite people in this room who are the entrepreneurs, you guys, I have a name for you. You are my cheetahs. That's how we call you in some parts of Africa, the fast runners of a continent, the ones that are going to take us to the next stage. So the reason why I'm here tonight is I am here wearing my hat as the director for the Africa Center for Prosperity and for Prosperity of the Atlas Network. And every one of you in this room today, you're here answering the prayers and working on the solution to a question a little girl from Africa had when she was 7 years old, and that's me. You see, when I was 7.5 years old, my family moved me from Senegal, where I was born, to Europe, where they were. And as soon as I stepped foot in there, I asked myself, how come here they have this, and back home we have that? Whatever that was in my little head of a little girl. And eventually the question became, why are some countries like Germany, where I just landed, rich, while other countries like mine are poor? It became the question. It became a lifelong question. And along the way, all of these years, I've been looking for the answer to that question. I have heard it all the way from people telling me that it had to do with a very straight face, people looking at me and saying, but darling, you understand, it's the IQ theory. You Africans are simply inferior. Oh, only a year and a half ago, I was at a conference and there was a very serious panel discussing these issues. Others, oh, it's just because you're so malnourished. Others, if we only give you access to clean water, everything will be better. Others, if you only stop whacking each other, everything will be better. Of course, life would be better without, if you're healthy and all of that, I agree. But then, if that was so true, how come the minute my parents moved from Senegal to Europe, all of a sudden, voila, the economics changed? It had nothing to do with all the crap I was hearing. And eventually I learned in a very painful way, you're poor because you have no money. You have no money because you have no source of income. A source of income for most of us is a job. Where do jobs come from? Companies, businesses, especially small and medium-sized enterprises. Then don't you think that we should really pay attention to whether or not countries allow their citizens a proper business climate so that they indeed can and want to build businesses? I think they should. When you look there are actually two major indexes that measure how hard or easy it is to do business anywhere in the world. One of them is a Doing Business Index of the World Bank, and the other one is the Fraser Institute Economic Freedom Index. And what do they all show? They show that it is harder to do business in almost anywhere in sub-Saharan Africa than it is anywhere in Scandinavia. So what does it mean? Africans are lacking a very important freedom that most of us usually do not think about. We have not even connected the dots, and it is economic freedom. We take it so much for granted in these countries. When you look out there, do you know how much easier it is for, I'm an entrepreneur, and one of my sister companies is in Senegal, the lab. We are in skincare. I produce my products in Senegal. And it's very easy for me to compare how hard or easy it is to do business there versus here. We are choking in senseless laws. So that's what we're missing. And so that's why when I found this organization, which is called the Atlas Network Organization, it is the largest organization in the world that basically works on bringing greater economic freedom to countries around the world, as well as making the business climate much easier for businesses in countries around the world. We have 500 partners that we work with. These are mostly think tanks, and we invest in them. So when I found out what Almaz was doing, and the theme of this conference this year, which is all about let us look at the infrastructure that these countries afford or not, their entrepreneurs, I was just like, say that again? So we had to sponsor. And we have 500 partners, remember. But out of the 500 partners, only 20, in the whole continent of Africa, we have only 20 of them that we're investing in. We have 54 countries, 55 depending on how you count in Africa. My goal, my personal goal, is to make sure that we find many more of these organizations all over the continent to finance so that they can work on these very specific issues and policy reforms that need to happen so that the business climate is better in various African countries. You can find us, some of us are in the room. Chad, I don't know if you're here, raise your hand in the back over there. Find us. The goal is to invest in many more organizations like that who are really working on this very specific issue. Today, Singapore is richer than Britain, the colonizer. If we unleash this force of economic freedom, I believe that my country of Senegal will be richer than France within the next 15 to 20 years.
Thank you. All right. Now I don't know how to follow this up. I'm getting a little more disappointed as we go on here. So is there anyone here from the Zimbabwe delegation? No? Then we get to close it out. Come on up, Almas. Yeah? It's just us. You want to? Come on, don't be shy now. Yes, come on, come on. I haven't met a shy Zimbabwean. This is now I know.
I think maybe it's not fair for me to be speaking because I sit on the board with Almasi. There was a group of Zimbabweans actually that were here, and some CEOs that came here to do a tour of the United States to see what they could do in Zimbabwe. But anyway, by way of introduction, my name is Innocent Shumba. I live actually in Utah, but I used to live here in California. I'm a partner at EY, I love what Amas is doing, the mission of ADN, because to me, we, the diasporas, are the people that can make a change in Africa. And if it doesn't start with us, we actually have the resources, we have the capacity to be able to go back and make a change in Africa. There's nothing that's going to change. As a Zimbabwean, and looking at my country, and where my country is leading right now, it's not the right direction. I remember when I was growing up, Zimbabwe was the breadbasket of Southern Africa. But today, we are actually begging other countries to feed us. It's because we have poor leadership. We don't have the resources that we need. And I think it's the same thing in any country in Africa. So my ask of all you who are willing to be part of us as ADN, we are here to be a conduit, to be an avenue that can help us to go back to Africa and being able to make a difference. Okay? If we wait for other people to do this for us, nothing's going to change. I think my fellow brother from Nigeria, you talked about jobs being in Africa and us being on the table, but being on the menu. Well, now we have a seat at the table. When I look at all the people that are in this room who are educated, and what we are doing right now here in Silicon Valley, if you think about it, the change in Silicon Valley, it is actually the outsiders who are making the change in Silicon Valley. So why can't we do that in our own countries? I think we can do it. And we just need to have somebody who can lead us to be on that, what I call the path to where we can change the world. I think South America was the second one in terms of when we think about the market, what could change. But I tell you, Africa is the next global continent that actually can change everything. You look at Nigeria, the people that are educated in Nigeria. You look at Zimbabwe, South Africa, Ghana. And then we look at where we are today. We shouldn't be where we are. We shouldn't be a developing country. We should be a developed country. The resources that we have in Africa, the minerals, agriculture, you talked about how you can actually start the school where kids now actually will be able to do. They have a garden, they have poultry. Those are things that we should be able to do. We have those resources in Africa. But I think my view is that we just need the resources in terms of cash. We need people like us who now have seen the way. We need to go back and coach and mentor and be an example to those that actually are in Africa. And I think if we can do those things, we can make a difference. And I believe in this, and that's why I sit on the board with Almasi, because I personally want to make a change. A year ago, Almasi and I talked about how can we get corporate sponsors to help ADN. And I'm so happy to see SAP being in the room today. And that came from the discussion that Almasi and I had. And because we care about it, EY, which is the company that I work for, cares about the changes in Africa, and they care about the social things that we have to do. And I feel good as I represent Africa being here. And so my ask for you, with this opportunity that I have, is let's get together. Let's not just come here and drink and talk and socialize. Let's make a difference, okay? It's one thing just to come here and we'll talk and we laugh and we leave this room without an action. My ask for you is like, what are you going to do? How are you going to make that change? It starts with us. Let's get together. And I commit to you that I'm one of those people, as I sit on the board, that I want to make a change. So if we have to do something, let's talk together and let's figure out what we can do in the next 2 or 3 days. I believe that we can make a change. And thank you, Almas, for the opportunity.
I didn't know. So Innocent has been on the board for a while, but I've never seen him speak so passionately like this. So it's fantastic that so there's no conflict of interest here. He's actually, so this is wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so I hope everybody had a great time. I hope you also took to heart that hopefully it's not just about eating and drinking and socializing, but really caring about this and making the connections in the room. Reach out to somebody you don't know, spend some time with them, get to know them, and over the next year, try and work towards this for all. All right?
So somebody asked me earlier, but this is supposed to be reception, why we just have a good time? I said, really? You paid money? You came all the way from... You don't want to just have drink and eat and all that. So, but there's actually a different reason. We had so many wonderful opportunities. I just couldn't miss. I'm such a greedy woman. I said, we're going to just squeeze as much as we can. And Deborah and I, my wonderful partner, Deborah, this young woman who just is absolutely the best, she and I, we were working on it. I said, we just have to put them here. And the next Saturday, I changed something. The next Saturday, it worked. Don't you think it was wonderful to have the sisters with us today? To have Deji and Peter and, oh my God, Magati, I tell you what this is just incredible. You had a keynote presentation from Luam. We've heard many different things from every one of you. Please be engaged. I really believe that change happens when we are sitting at the table. We can't complain anymore, can we? Yeah. We can just complain that we are outside and we don't have to look in. We can just sit there, but we got to be present. We can't complain when we're not invited. Get invited. be there and really disrupt like what we have to do something, because I think this community is incredibly generous. I really love the idea of Africans and Friends of Africa, because I think Africa is not just a black continent. Africa is the motherland of all of us. And so I think this room and what you're going to see over the next 2 days is exactly the representation of Africa. What I think we need to do is what Innocent was saying. We need to turn our ideas into action by working together. And so even if you're tired today, just use it as a fun thing to do. I think the wine is all gone. The food is all gone, but you can still talk. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow early in the morning. Be there at 8. So breakfast begins at 8 o'clock. 8:30 program begins. Just come and you will be amazed by what we have tomorrow for you and Saturday. Thank you and have a wonderful night. Thank you.